This episode contains adult themes and is not appropriate for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Oh, hello, the world. This is They Will Kill, a true crime podcast. I am Courtney Eck.
And I'm Sadie Eck.
And we're sisters, and you're a bunch of maniacs. If you're new to the podcast, that's the joke that you have to explain every time you use it. You're maniac, but with Eck, like our last name. Get it? Yeah, we just lost like 5 potential listeners.
Yeah, hang in there, guys.
It's hard to come up with new ways to introduce ourselves every time, so throw me a bone, guys.
Yeah.
Anyway, we are going to talk to you about some murder today, and I will stop with the dad jokes and let Sadie take it from here.
Tonight, we're going to talk about the mysterious death of Colonel Philip Shue. Tracy and Philip Shue met in 1998 at the Eglin Air Force Base in Florida, where they worked together. Tracy was a nurse and Phil was a psychiatrist. Tracy was immediately attracted to Phil. She thought he was a good guy and a great doctor. According to Tracy, quote, "I didn't think in my whole life I have ever met somebody who had such passion for life and just enjoyed the simple things. He would walk into a room and he would just light it up, and people loved him." And you know he's got to be a good guy if the nurse thinks the doctor's good.
Yeah,
You know?
seriously. No, doctors are generally not. Hey, every doctor listening, you're not very nice. No, it's true though. Doctors, but no, it's not true at all. But doctors and nurses, there's like a bit of a rivalry. It's like Beatles and Rolling Stones. Anyway, it's not like that at all. Never mind.
The two soon began dating. Phil was separated and was going through a difficult divorce. Quote, "He didn't talk a lot about his first wife other than to say there was not any love in the marriage," Tracy said. In 1993, once the divorce was finalized, Phil and Tracy decided to marry. The couple was very happy and felt lucky to have each other. 5 years later, in 1998, Phil was reassigned to Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio, Texas. He and Tracy bought a house in nearby Boerne, Texas. Nina, a neighbor and close friend of Tracy's, described the couple as, quote, "Phil was Midwestern, very low-key, soft-spoken, mild-mannered, very laid-back, and Tracy was a born and bred New Yorker, a little bit more demonstrative." When Phil decided to retire from the Air Force, the couple made a decision to move to their dream home in Alabama, a big house with a pond in the backyard. Phil had been selected for a prestigious forensic psychiatrist fellowship at the University of Alabama, which was his dream job. Mm-hmm. Quote, "It was a new adventure, a new chapter in his life," Tracy says. "I mean, life was just very, very exciting at that moment." On April 16th, 2003, at 5:30 in the morning, Phil brought Tracy her cup of coffee while she was still in bed, as was their custom. Quote, "We had coffee in bed, typical morning, a normal day other than he was getting to work a little early to do some paperwork," she recalls. She continues, "We sat there and talked. We talked about the house, and he kissed me goodbye and left and said, 'I love you,' and those were the last words he said."
Oh,
God, and I love a coffee in bed, man. I love somebody bringing me coffee in bed.
Mm-hmm. It's like the thing I look forward to the most on the weekend.
Yep. At 8:14 a.m., witnesses observed Phil's car, a 1995 Mercury Tracer, speeding recklessly down Interstate 10. The car then drove abruptly off the road, going approximately 60 miles an hour, and went up an embankment and crashed into a large tree. It caused it to start spinning and crashed into a second tree. Witnesses say the brakes were never used to slow the car down.
Whoa.
When first responders arrived, they noticed the driver's side of the car was caved in. Phil had suffered severe head trauma and was killed instantly in the crash. When they got Phil's body out of the car, they were surprised to find that he had been mutilated.
What?
Under his torn shirt, they found that both of his nipples were cut away with surgical precision. A 6-inch long, 1-inch wide incision had been cut down the middle of his chest.
What?
His wrists and ankles were wrapped in duct tape, and part of his pinky finger and earlobe were cut off.
What the heck?
Yep. It wasn't until 3:30 that afternoon, 7 hours after the crash, that Tracy was notified of her husband's death.
What is happening? Where? What? Oh my God. It's because everybody kept trying to, like, call her and just couldn't stop vomiting from what they found inside the car.
Right.
Is my guess. God. 7 hours?
7 hours.
Oh my God.
The sheriff and Air Force minister showed up at her house to notify her of Phil's passing. A couple of hours later, Al Oxier from the Department of Public Safety arrived to talk with Tracy. As they sat in the living room discussing the car crash, she remembers Oxier blurted out, "Oh, by the way, is there any reason your husband would have duct tape around his wrists and ankles?"
My God.
Tracy, still in a state of shock and still unaware of the mutilation, instantly remembered several life-threatening letters Colonel Shue had received and was saving in a file. "Oh my God," she exclaimed, "they've killed him." Retrieving the threatening letters from Phil's desk, she gave them to the authorities. She also opened up her home and property to investigators, hoping they would find clues as to why her husband was dead, but it was to no avail. Tracy was appalled at the behavior and lack of care she received from one of the agents of the Air Force OSI, which is the Office of Special Investigations.
Yeah, he said, I mean, if you're a serviceman, it just doesn't sound anything like any of the, like, scenarios where servicemen die that I've ever heard of.
No, right. It's very strange. I mean,
yeah.
The whole story is very, very strange.
Mm-hmm. That's become abundantly clear already. Wait, what do you mean? I don't understand what you're referring to.
It seems pretty straightforward. So
yeah. Yeah.
Quote, "I went there with my sister to make a statement," Tracy said. "I couldn't understand why more than a week after my husband's death I had not been contacted by OSI and had to seek them out myself."
That's very suspicious.
Mm-hmm. When I met with the agent, I couldn't believe his attitude. He had this weird smile on his face while he talked in circles, not giving us any real guidance or help.
Oh, God.
It was like he either didn't care I had lost my husband to a horrible death, or he was amused somehow by it. He didn't lose that smirk at any time throughout his condescending remarks.
That is chilling.
Mm-hmm. She continues, "I finally had to interrupt his rambling long enough to ask him why he was smiling like that. I inquired what it was he found to be so humorous. He claimed nothing did, and got up to get his superior officer."
What a creep.
When the female major arrived, she tried to establish her authority and brushed me off with a curt remark that, quote, "We'll have to schedule an appointment to make the statement." I told her, "Well, we'll do it right now." So she had to accept it without any further delay.
Why would you... Oh, God. It's like when people text you to ask if they can call you. It's like, if you can't call me, I won't answer. So there's a fast track to that solution.
True. I do that because I know that my text noise is one way and my phone call is much more likely to wake me up. So I will text to see if somebody's awake.
Well, I will also say that I called a professional colleague who's also a very good friend recently for professional reasons. And hi, Aubrey, if you're listening. And it was so jarring. Like, I'm just so used to, emailing to schedule a call, and just to call them out of the blue was just, as soon as they answered, I was like, I am so sorry. I will never do this again. So I take it back. Mm-hmm. Always do that. Don't ever just call somebody.
Take it from us.
Yep.
Tracy's still talking here.
Yeah.
What gets me is the Air Force knew of the death threats against my husband before he died, and yet they blew them off. The OSI is well aware of the suspicious nature of my husband's death, yet they showed a callous disregard for my suffering. There's no excuse for the way I was treated. Other than that day, I have not heard from them since.
What on earth? That is so strange.
Yeah. A little more than a month after Phil's funeral, Tracy received a phone call from a reporter with the San Antonio newspaper asking for a comment regarding her husband's mutilated body. Until that moment, she had not been told of this information by authorities.
What? Are you kidding me?
No.
Oh my God.
As the reporter filled her in on every graphic detail, Tracy, who always knew in her heart that her husband had been murdered, understood she was going to have to fight hard to get justice for Phil.
Oh my God. They didn't do any kind of investigation?
Not really.
Holy
Turns out, not really.
Shit.
Yeah. When the autopsy was performed, in addition to the mutilation, they found a massive trauma to Phil's head, including multiple skull fractures. There was a high concentration of lidocaine in his blood. The autopsy reports that Phil started using a self-prescribed lidocaine lotion 10 days before his death, but there was another active ingredient in that lotion that didn't show up in his blood supply.
Uh-huh.
So they don't know if the lidocaine came from that lotion. Doesn't seem like it.
Right.
They also found multiple, quote, scratch abrasions next to the larger incision on his chest. When they removed Phil's clothes, they found evidence of him having worn a diaper before he died.
What?
I know. White fibers, a tab with a cartoon moon and sun, and, quote, gel-like material was found on his groin consistent to that found inside a diaper. The diaper itself was missing. An L-shaped cut was found on the left-hand side of the back of his pants near the pocket. But the report says that the cut it was like kind of around his back pocket, but didn't actually cut into his pocket. So, like, how in the world? What's going on? I don't know.
So, like, the pants were actually cut around the pocket, but not through the pocket?
Right. So, like, nothing could have fallen out. They couldn't find his wallet, but they were like, it's...
Right. It didn't fall out because of the cut. Okay.
Right. But why is his
somebody
cut?
Cutting around his pocket?
Right. It would take a year of investigation, but eventually all of the agencies involved, the local and state police, the medical examiner, even the Air Force, would come to agree that the death of Colonel Philip Shue was the end result of his own bizarre psychological breakdown, a deeply disturbed man who committed suicide.
No! Mm-hmm. Are you fucking kidding me?
I am not kidding you.
What is happening?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's so strange. It's so crazy. Don't know why. I don't know.
Cover up. I mean,
yeah.
Are we going to find out why, or you just don't know, and this is the end of the story?
This is it. Well, I will tell you what I know, but I unfortunately don't know what happened.
Oh my God.
I know. It's another one, guys. We gotta crack this case.
Jesus. Sorry, everybody.
Yep. Quote, the case is bizarre, says Dr. Vincent DeMeo, who is the chief medical examiner of Bexar County. His office performed the autopsy on Phil's body. Quote, the information that was provided to the office was that he had been having some problems. He had seen some of his colleagues for depression or panic attacks. You know what depression and panic attacks don't usually make you do?
Mutilate your own self and then
Right.
commit suicide?
Right, cut off your nipples.
Yeah. Cut your own pocket open for or around. Yeah, no.
DeMeo believes the injuries found on Phil's chest were self-inflicted. He points to the high concentration of lidocaine found in his blood, the hesitation marks, which are scratches often made as a person works up the nerve to cut deeper, and his failure to use his cell phone.
What on earth?
Yeah. Quote, if you were captured, tortured, and fleeing, you would seek help, right? DeMeo asks. Usually when things are really, really bizarre, something's been staged. As Phil fled, he passed 3 exits to his own town. He had a working cell phone, but did not try to call anyone.
What is happening? And there's no evidence of, like, him already being dead, and they just...
He was driving the car.
He was definitely driving the car.
Yes. I mean, so when he crashes, he's driving down the interstate. He veers off the road. People are there, like other motorists are there. He crashes into a tree, and people go to help him.
Right.
And so there isn't any evidence of someone else being in the car running away. He was...
Well, I just mean, like, could they have super glued the pedal down or something?
Oh,
and
yeah, no.
Sent him off on his way, you know what I mean?
No. Yeah, he drove for a little while. No witnesses saw him driving for miles.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. The district attorney convened a grand jury and asked them to consider the case. They ended up finding no evidence of any crime and believed the ruling of suicide should stand.
Jesus Christ, but you said he had blunt force trauma to the head, right?
Well, he had injuries to his head. The autopsy report says it's from the car crash.
Right. But probably what it was that he got bonked on the head, was losing his damn mind, instinctively started driving, but then probably had a stroke or so, like...
Yeah.
While he's driving, he succumbs to his injuries, crashes, and dies. Don't you think?
Maybe. I really don't know. Something.
No,
happened.
I must know. I must know.
Tracy refused to accept those findings and fought in every venue available to have her husband's cause of death changed to homicide and his killers arrested.
Ugh.
Tracy hired her own doctor, world-renowned pathologist, Dr. Cyril Wetch, who provided his expertise in many high-profile cases, including President John F. Kennedy and Anna Nicole Smith.
Whoa.
He agrees with Dr. DeMeo on one point, quote, "I have never seen a case as bizarre, as atypical as this one," he says. Wetch performed his own autopsy on Phil's body and disagrees with the medical examiner's findings. Wetch says that the lidocaine levels found in Phil's blood were not high enough for Phil to have numbed himself from the pain. There were no needle marks visible to imply he injected himself with lidocaine, and that there's no evidence to show that Phil cut his own chest. In addition to not finding the instrument used to cut Phil's body, Wetch explains, quote, "His fingerprints were not found on the duct tape, and no gloves were found. I would place my bet that this was a homicide."
My 5-year-old nephew would place a bet that that was a homicide. I just like the, what's the case? Rebecca, I can't remember her last name, the woman who was bound behind her back and they say she committed suicide.
Oh.
You know what I'm talking about? And it's just like, what? You can't just say something is something because you don't want to investigate it. Like, how unbelievably maddening.
No, it's so crazy.
And you know how many people, like, self-mutilate to that extent before they kill themselves? 0. Mm-hmm. Like, plenty of people self-mutilate, but not... Oh, God. Yep. Sorry.
No, I just have had a lot more time to process the information. Yeah. I understand. It's one of those that I actually have found myself, like, not falling asleep at night because I'm thinking about this case. Mm-hmm. Like, what the fuck happened to him and why didn't anybody investigate it thoroughly? Right. So who might have killed Philip Shue?
Yes, please.
Tracy believes whomever is responsible for Phil's death is somehow connected to the series of threatening letters he claimed to have received starting in May of 1999. Phil and his first wife, Nancy Shue, were married for 20 years and divorced in 1992. In a bitter settlement battle, Nancy received the right to own insurance policies on Phil's life worth $1 million.
What? Mm-hmm. Did you get this case from Mars? Like, what is happening? What part of Texas do these people live in that's just upside down land?
I know.
What the fuck?
After the divorce, Phil started demanding that Nancy cancel the policies. She refused, saying that she couldn't afford to.
What?
I know. Tracy says that her husband became fearful of Nancy after receiving a typewritten anonymous letter saying, quote, "You may be in danger," and to, quote, "Please be careful." I'll post a picture. There's available online. You can find the full letter. Mm-hmm. So I'll post it on our Instagram. The person who wrote the letter claimed they overheard a conversation between Nancy and her husband, Donald Tipson. They were plotting to have Phil murdered for his insurance money. Tipson was an Air Force pilot at the time of Phil's death. Phil wrote to Nancy to confront her, but she denied being involved. Phil showed the notes to his supervisors, but they, quote, dismissed the notion that the letters represented a real threat.
Also, if you commit suicide, you can't collect the policy.
I think it depends on the policy.
Yeah. But also, if I killed somebody in that manner, I would never, ever, ever think that they would rule it a suicide.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, we have to make it very obvious that this person was tortured and murdered, or we're not going to get the money.
Right.
God.
When he tried to cancel the policies in August of 2000, he told one insurer in a letter, quote, "Thoroughly examine my death for evidence of foul play, even if on the surface the cause would appear natural or accidental."
Jesus.
Not only was Phil afraid of imminent harm, he had also claimed to be the victim in several bizarre incidents in the years leading up to his death. In June 1999, a laptop containing the only copy of his nearly completed master's thesis disappeared.
That's maybe worse than death.
Right?
Maybe he did lose his mind, cut his own nipples off and kill himself. Are you kidding? I mean, no. God, I've almost lost a couple edits of this podcast and I was able to not lose them. And if I had, I probably would have cut my own nipples off and smashed into a tree. God, what a nightmare. Awful.
Yep. In the fall of 2000, he inexplicably received a score of zeros on his aerospace studies medical boards.
What?
Yep. So he sat for the exam.
Yeah.
And then when the results came back, it was all zeros.
Weird.
Yeah. And so either it was a glitch.
Right.
Or he sat for the exam, like, for the full time and didn't answer a single question.
Oh, that is so weird.
Back in 1978, he told family and friends that a lone gunman in a car shot at him while he was driving home. Tracy admits that her husband suffered from episodes of acute anxiety, but despite this, Phil's commanding officer says Phil was a, quote, highly regarded psychiatrist who was very mellow, laid back, easy to get along with. He does not believe Phil was suicidal.
No.
Tracy believes the nature of Phil's injuries provide another lead. Court documents show that Nancy was a board-certified sex therapist who had studied the practice of sadomasochism.
What?
Yep. During the investigation, Nancy told authorities that on the day that Phil died, both she and Don Tipson could prove that they were at work in Florida. Nancy added that she believed Phil and Tracy might have fabricated the warning letter. She refused to take a polygraph.
What is happening?
2 months after her husband died, Tracy filed a civil lawsuit with Nancy as a defendant, seeking to prevent Nancy from collecting the $1 million death benefit. 2 insurance companies, USAA and Northwestern Mutual, were also named as defendants. Tracy claimed they had been warned about the threat on her husband's life and therefore had a legal duty to cancel the policies.
Mm-hmm.
As part of the lawsuit, Tracy's lawyers demanded that Nancy answer their questions, but during the deposition she took the fifth more than 20 times.
Whoa.
Roger Anderson, the lead investigator on the case, now admits he lost control of the investigation, beginning with a jurisdictional beef with the state police at the crash site.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Quote, "We've got a dead body. We've got a mutilation on that body," Anderson says. "I couldn't get their attention. Finally, I yelled and screamed at them, 'Get the hell out of my crime scene!' And that got their attention, but it also made them mad at me." At that point, the investigation was severely hampered. Important evidence may have been lost and important leads may have been ignored. And I definitely think that's part of this problem, is that there was the state troopers and the sheriffs and the FBI got involved at one point,
mm-hmm.
and the Air Force,
mm-hmm.
all in there together. Like,
too many cooks in the
either
kitchen.
trying to take on too much or all ignoring it and wanting to pass the buck to somebody else.
Right. Just not one department focused fully on the case and figuring out the pieces of evidence. Yeah.
Right. Quote, "They didn't preserve the scene, they didn't preserve the vehicle, so it wasn't handled as if it had been a crime scene or that a crime took place someplace else," says private investigator Joe Mura, who looked into the case. Quote, "I don't believe evidence was tampered with. What I believe is they didn't preserve the evidence."
Mm-hmm. I just don't understand why you wouldn't think that was a homicide or some kind of crime that needed to be investigated. It's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
And it's so suspicious.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the first you look at on the scene, you notice that the guy's nipples are gone, and and the duct
lock
tape
that
is on
shit
his
down.
wrist.
Yes,
Yeah.
you lock it down immediately.
Like, why wouldn't you? It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, unless it was a government cover-up.
Yep. Anderson is now one of Tracy Shue's biggest supporters. Haunted by the results of the investigation, he says there are, quote, "absolutely too many unanswered questions." You're telling me,
Yeah.
Anderson.
You're gonna have to answer to our listeners, Anderson. You're gonna get an angry mob of people wanting to know what the fuck happened to this guy.
Yeah. So the single most damning evidence of suicide comes from a 20-page report done by the military called A Psychological Autopsy.
Mm-hmm. It's gotta be the military. It has to be. Those motherfuckers wanted to cover this shit up.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me everything.
But why? I don't know. I will tell you.
Okay.
It was completed 2 years after Phil's death and concludes that he had become depressed, irrational, and even paranoid in the months before he died. The report questions whether the warning letter was real, and it finds no evidence of another person being involved in his death. The report states that if Phil was abducted, there were no self-defense wounds, no bruises or other marks indicating a struggle took place. They also reported that the tape around his wrists and ankles was not strained against. So they're saying that if he was bound to a chair and somebody was cutting his body, he would be fighting against the restraints.
Mm-hmm.
And there wasn't, the tape hadn't been pulled tight.
Right.
They couldn't find the source of the lidocaine in his blood, but determined it was self-administered so he could mutilate his own body without too much pain. They also found that Phil had stopped taking one of his medications for depression and anxiety. They believe suddenly stopping this medicine could cause Phil to become more depressed and anxious, possibly even suicidal.
Yeah, sure. Yes, but not self-mutilating. You wouldn't torture yourself because you stopped taking your Zoloft.
Right. They noted he changed his will 5 days before his death, and he never tried to call anyone with the phone that was in his car. It was in working order the day of his death.
Mm-hmm.
He also passed a police car that was pulled over on the highway, but Phil did not stop and get help. The report questioned how someone could have gained control of Phil, and then he could escape without a fight and further wounds to his body.
Mm-hmm.
They also believed that he crashed his car on purpose to either kill himself or to continue his ruse of being abducted and attacked.
Why would he? Why?
I don't know. They also came to the conclusion that based on the lack of blood in the car or on Phil's clothing, that the wounds on his body were done within minutes of the crash. They could not tell whether the removal of part of his pinky finger had happened before or after the crash, but that body part was never recovered.
God, you guys.
I know. So they think that he did that really quickly and then crashed his car into a tree.
Just tossed it out a window or something? Are you fucking kidding me? It's just...
No.
Ugh.
They concluded that Philip staged everything in order to finally get the life insurance policy his ex-wife had on him canceled, or because he wanted to end his life.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I just think that if my ex-husband had a life insurance policy on me that I didn't want him to have,
I'd frame them for my own murder.
I would like mutilate my body and crash a car. Like, it just doesn't make any sense at all.
I would Gone Girl them. I would frame them for my own murder. Easy peasy. I've seriously just watched Gone Girl and then do it the next day. It's easy.
Right. Yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah.
It's like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I also, the older I get and the further we get into this presidential administration, the more I realize that people just aren't that bright. You know?
Yeah, there's that.
Some people are very bright, but there are a lot of people out there that are just not that bright. Like, they would just be like, yeah. Or, cover it up.
Right. The official finding that Colonel Shue committed suicide did not affect the payment of his life insurance benefits.
What?
His first wife, Nancy, received $1 million, and Tracy received $1.8 million.
Holy moly. God, imagine how pissed you would be if your partner's ex-partner got... I can't imagine.
No. Quote, I still believe to this day that a crime had been committed to this man prior to that traffic accident, says lead investigator Roger Anderson.
Yes.
He continues, I think he was intercepted on his way to work. I think somebody was laying for him. They had planned to intercept him, to take him into custody, take him to some location unknown. I think they intended to terrorize the man. He continues, quote, it would appear that Colonel Shue was able to tear away the bonds that were restricting him and to get to his vehicle and attempt to escape. That's what it would appear. That's the most reasonable conclusion I can come to. I can't prove even one part of it.
Yeah, it's like, what's the saying? If you hear, I think I've said this before in the podcast, if you hear like hoof steps, assume that it's horses, not zebras.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Meaning it's almost always the most logical answer.
Right. Like
Thank you.
Oxen's razor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's just the most logical answer to that scenario is that he was kidnapped, tortured, and murdered, not that he tortured his own self while wearing a diaper and then smashed into a tree.
Right.
Occam's razor? I think it's Occam's.
What did I say?
Oxum's, I think.
Well,
Oxen's razor.
Oxen. So before the civil suit that Tracy had began, Nancy was dropped as a defendant, as was Northwestern Mutual. Only USAA remained as a defendant. In June of 2008, the trial judge found USAA was not at fault for Philip Shue's death, and it did nothing wrong in their handling of his policy.
Wait, so what was she alleging?
That they were liable for damages because they wouldn't cancel the policy. So that...
Got it.
Had there not been this money out on him, on his life...
Somebody wouldn't have been murdered.
She's implying that Nancy murdered him for the life insurance money.
Right.
And had they done, as he said, that... she wouldn't have had a reason to kill him.
Right. But without a homicide ruling, there's no way to prove that. It doesn't work. Got it.
Right. In June of 2008, the trial judge found that USAA was not at fault for Philip Shue's death and did nothing wrong in their handling of this policy. But he handed down another ruling that shocked the courtroom. Quote, "The evidence considered by the court substantiates a finding that Colonel Philip Shue was murdered."
What? Fist pump, fist pump, fist pump.
The court therefore finds that the April 16, 2003 death of Colonel Philip Shue was a homicide.
Whoa.
Unfortunately, that ruling doesn't really hold any weight.
Really?
Mm-hmm. The Kendall County Sheriff's Office has no plans to investigate Philip's death. Quote, "There's no new evidence to this point right now for us to say that we are going to open the case."
Those sons of bitches.
Mm-hmm. In June of 2009, the Texas Attorney General ruled that Colonel Philip Shue's death certificate did not need to be changed. The official cause of death remains suicide.
Damn it.
I know. Tracy said, quote, "My husband did not commit suicide. This is all bull."
Yes, I would agree with you.
Yep. And that's all I got, you guys.
Damn it.
So what did he do? What happened?
It's some Black Ops shit, man. I think...
You know what?
What?
Megan, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, go for it.
Megan said she was hoping for like some Illuminati.
Yes. Black Ops. Definitely. Jason Bourne stuff. He was involved with something that they didn't want him to be involved in, or he had information somehow, like one of his patients told him something or whatever. And so they took him, they tortured him. He somehow managed to get away, but damage was already done. And once he was in his car, I think he probably was just dying. You know, I think he knew enough, he was aware enough, had his wits about him enough to get in the car and flee. But by then it was too late. And I think his brain shorted, smashed into a tree and died. And then they covered it up.
Yep.
Case closed.
Closed, yep.
Damn it.
Another theory that Megan brought up, this is all very speculative, was that what if Tracy was framing Nancy
Ooh.
by torturing her husband that she seemed to really love?
What's the case that I covered where the one ex-girlfriend was killed the girlfriend and then pretended to be the girlfriend? Yeah.
Yep.
I like it. That's complicated, but I like it.
Right. That's the thing about all of it. It's all either like all of the scenarios you look at, it's all so complicated.
Yeah.
If he was trying to stage some sort of attack, like maybe that could be it. He was staging this attack to make somebody take him seriously, so because he really wanted the life insurance policy to go away.
Right.
He didn't mean to run into the trees and kill himself. I mean, but
that doesn't make any sense. Yeah, no. Again, you would just like shoot yourself in the leg or give yourself a black eye or something, bash your head against a doorknob. You wouldn't cut your own nipples off. Like, no, under no circumstance.
No. Well, they're getting ready to move and like just had shit to look forward to.
Yeah. No. Maybe, you'd have to be on PCP or something, and there was no evidence of anything but lidocaine in your system. And I'm sure, lidocaine will help if you have like itchy psoriasis or something, but I don't think it like completely numbs your body to the point that you can mutilate yourself and cut your own pinky off.
I know.
That much lidocaine? Yeah. I mean, if that were the case, we'd all just be injecting lidocaine all over the place. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't, what's the super awesome painkiller?
Codeine?
Yeah, the other one.
Oxycodone?
The other one. The one that makes you can feel the pain, but you don't care. God damn it. It's very common. It's what they give.
Nitrous oxide.
No, the one they give like cancer patients and stuff. You get the drip, the morphine. God. It's like I said, the most common one.
Oh my God. The fact that you couldn't think of that word and I listed
every other. Yeah, morphine. The one. The drug.
Oh, God. We're on point today.
I know. Quaaludes. No.
I'm sorry, codeine was the very first thing I thought of.
He didn't have a cough, Sadie. He cut his pinky off. Dilaudid. No, Sadie, no. It's not 1965. Yeah. If he had a near lethal dose of morphine in his system, then I might be like, okay.
Yeah.
I have taken morphine. It rules. You really don't care about pain. You can feel it, but you really don't care. Like, whoa, pain is part of me, man. Like, that would make sense. But lidocaine, I'm not buying it. Yeah.
Yep.
No, I think he had a brain bleed or something, was going on in his brain. I think enough damage had been done or his heart or whatever, like some lethal damage had been done, but he had enough time to get in his car to try to get away, but then lost consciousness and killed himself accidentally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Damn it.
I know.
I just hope that there's a heaven or some sort of like database that you have access to when you die, where it all
gets downloaded.
Oh my God. It could be like, oh, you want to know what happened to John Bonet? Or, like, yes, please. You just get to go and see all of the cases. And there are those cases that are just incredibly coincidental. Where you like would never be able to figure it out because the dog pushed over the broom, like
Magnolia.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. Thank you.
Yeah.
Where it just seems impossible, but somehow you figure it out, and maybe this is one of those, but I don't think so.
Yeah. No.
Shit. What do you guys think? What do you think, darling listeners?
Please tell us. Did you get it figured out?
Do any of you live in upside down Texas, bizarro Texas, where nothing makes sense and everything is upside down? And could you explain to us how things are done around there?
Right.
Like,
yeah. Well, and I think it's another case where when you don't investigate something, you don't have any clues. So it's not like
right.
So they just were like, nope, he killed himself, and so had they like done anything, searched the car,
found some fibers, found a fingerprint.
They didn't. I couldn't find any information about like trying to retrace his steps from 5:30 to 8:30 in the morning. Like, where was he?
Insane. Didn't check CCTV. Didn't check every single person's Ring doorbell that everybody probably has.
I mean, it's 2003, so...
Okay, well, CCTV or whatever, there's still going to be some evidence of this guy. He didn't go far. He didn't end up in Mexico or something. He was still in his neighborhood, in his town.
Right.
Damn it. God, that's just so insane. But that's what I definitely think it was a cover-up, because the military and the FBI would have the authority to do that, to just be like, nope, suicide done, not investigating whatsoever, the end.
Right.
And then there's no going back. So, or every single person on the scene was just like really hungry or cranky or something, or they were like, shit, guys, Bubba Joe's barbecue has that sauce today, or the fucking, and they're like, oh, we got to wrap this up because that shit sells out every time, or, like, no, that, again, that doesn't seem super likely that every single person from all these departments just didn't want to deal with it.
Yep. That's what
Oh, I love true crime and I hate it.
I know.
It's such a bitch.
Yeah, it really is. When I was little, you were sort of what you were talking about. I remember laying in bed at night being like, when I die and go to heaven, that's what my heaven's going to be, is that I'm going to have all the answers to all of the questions.
Yes. Like, where the hell did that ring go that I lost?
Yes.
Or,
yeah. Like, so it's no surprise that I've always been just terribly fascinated by true crime and mysteries. And I just want to know all the answers.
Just want to know all the answers. I had a long talk with my friend last night. She came over and we sat 6 feet apart and solved all the world's problems, is what our friends call it when we just, sit and drink margaritas and talk for hours and hours. And we were talking about exes, and then, like Laura, like my wife's exes or my ex's exes, and how I want to know what's going on with them. And she was like, why? Who cares? And I was like, I don't know. It's just a part of my personality. It's totally inconsequential, as is true crime. This doesn't have any effect on my life whatsoever. I just have to know. I just have to know how the story ends. About people I've never met, like,
right.
Like my ex-girlfriend's ex-girlfriend, I would follow her on Facebook, because you just get involved in these stories and you're like, who did she marry? Or like, things like that. I just can't help myself.
Yep. I know. Nothing worse than a person that keeps their profiles on super lockdown like me.
Yeah. Oh, you have no idea. Yeah. I posted something on Instagram one time about if anybody else gets overly involved in the suspected breakups of people they don't know. So
have we talked about that
on the
already?
podcast? I don't know. Oh yeah, we did. Yes.
Yeah.
And about how somebody responded to me and said, yes, I one time zoomed in on mail on their counter in a photo on Instagram to see if their last name had changed. Yes. Yeah, I am that creep, man. If the NSA hacked into my computer, they'd be like, what the fuck? Why did you look at this person that you've never met like 19 times a day for 6 months or whatever, like,
and then constantly just research murders.
Yeah. Can't help it. I cannot help it.
Tell us, guys, how do you stalk online strangers?
Yeah. Yes, please.
But not in the scary way or dangerous way,
of course.
But in the curiosity way.
Yes, of course. Well, and we have a friend who I will protect their identity in telling this story, but so there's been multiple times that everybody's done this where you're stalking somebody and you accidentally friend request them or like something on their page.
I've done that.
Big old fat thumb just smashes down on the heart. You're like, no!
Yeah.
And our friend immedately changes their profile name to something like Rock and Roll Moo Moo or something, and then puts a black, like just black in the profile
picture.
Yeah. So when
smart,
it's so smart. So there you go, guys. There's a life tip. If you're stalking somebody and you just slip up and you smash the heart accidentally, don't panic. Just put your profile to private if it isn't already. Change your name and put a blackness in the profile picture.
That's right. Just delete it. Just burn your computer. It's like when you accidentally text the wrong person.
Oh God. Oh my God. There was one time that my friend's roommate, was roommates, owned a house with a best friend. And they were not things were not good between them. They were having a bit of a falling out. And the roommate meant to text his boyfriend, but instead texted my friend and said, can I hang out at your house tonight? I don't want to hang out with so-and-so's weird family.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yep. I just fucking, or like sending a sexy text to your boss instead of your, Yeah. So what are your experiences with that too, listeners?
Oh God.
Who have you sent? What is the worst thing you've accidentally sent to the wrong person?
Yep. I want to know about it.
Yeah, I want to know about all of it. How do you stalk people? What's the worst thing you've sent to the wrong person?
Tell us, and we'll tell everybody else.
Yeah. How deviant are you? Tell us all of your weird. No, just kidding. Just kidding. Don't need to open that door. People be like, one time I murdered my neighbor, and I accidentally texted the FBI about it or whatever. Like, no.
Yeah, don't implicate us in crimes, please. Lordy.
Okay, quick business.
Yeah.
You guys are geniuses, and so in the last episode about Jovan Collier, and I was trying to remember the fragrance that sounded like his name, and I said Dracar Noir. Guess what, guys? It was Jovan Musk. Duh. It was his actual name. It was his actual name.
We are so smart. We are so smart.
It's such a 90s name. It sounds like a cologne or something. Yes, it actually was the name of a cologne. Just put his name and then Musk on the end.
Yeah, like the easiest thing to How many people were listening, like, screaming?
Seriously, like, Jeanette. No, dipshit. God.
And again, I'm so helpful. I came up with vanilla fields.
No, Sadie. Over here.
And coding. I'm very helpful.
You're a very smart person. You're good at a lot of things. Yep. You can't be beautiful and smart.
Exactly.
Oh my God.
Just kidding. You can be beautiful and smart.
No, you can't. Choose one or the other. I chose intelligence. I'm face of a damn dragon. Any other?
Yeah, shout outs. We have like a bunch of shout outs.
We do have a ton of shout outs. Can I do a quick coven shout out?
Fuck yes.
We got some new covens popping up out of fucking nowhere. Happy Valley, Oregon is currently number 2.
Wow. I wonder if that's like because it's a suburb of Portland, right?
It's pretty close. Yeah. Yes. Like 30 minutes, 45 minutes. But yeah. Happy Valley. Where did you guys come?
Hey, Happy Valley.
Hi, guys. So that popped up. Islington, England is number 3. I just never get over that.
Keeps growing.
I know. And we have a new... Did we say Atlanta, Georgia last time? I feel like maybe we did. But Atlanta's number 4 right now. Wow. You guys are number 4.
Look at you guys.
Extremely well done. Dallas is still in the top. And Clayton, Missouri. I think I said Clayton last time, but Clayton is like number 6 right now.
What is going on?
What is going on?
I love it.
It's amazing.
Cannot wait to have our route for our barbecue van.
I know. Chicago, Oregon, England, Georgia, Texas, Missouri.
Texas, yeah. Done. Ohio.
It's freaking thrilling.
It really is.
Yeah.
I know. I've been thinking about you guys in Florida, in Texas, and California.
Yeah.
And
Portland,
Indiana.
Yeah, Portland, Oregon, where the feds are invading. And
Lord
guys, I'm not going to go too deep down this dark hole, but that's really fucking terrifying. And so keep an eye on that. Talk about it.
Don't let anybody get away with anything.
Exactly. That's Gestapo shit. It is not okay. And I am sleeping at night believing that there is checks and balances in this country and that you can't just do that shit without consequences or unchecked. And Trump has tried to pull this shit before with the Muslim ban and things, but it's terrifying. It's dangerous. It's not cool.
Right. We got to pay attention.
Yes. And by not cool, I mean it's the furthest possible thing from cool.
Right. Terribly illegal.
Yup. Or maybe not illegal, which is also terrifying because there's some kind of terrorist bill that Obama signed that allows for something like this to happen because they can make this justification that these are terrorists. Anyway, it's not okay. So, call your fucking representatives. No. This is not how we do things in the United States of America. Also, Trump needs to stop with these bullshit Hail Marys to try to rally his base and be like, hey, look at what I can do. I'm a real tough guy. Fuck you. Just let people peacefully protest. It's your First Amendment right.
Seriously. We got enough to worry about.
Anyway. Okay.
Yep.
That is all I'm going to say about that. And now let's shout. Sorry.
No, it's just, for me, it's like a very thin line. Everything's just right at the surface.
Yeah,
I've been
razor's
feeling very angry lately for lots of reasons.
Yes, I think it's a good time to be angry. It's a very, very good time to be angry.
If you're feeling that way, you're not alone.
No.
We really want you to listen to this podcast and find a little bit of distraction and
Exactly.
happiness.
Yes, this is a safe place. And I'm a very optimistic person, maybe to a fault. I know that annoys some people because they're like, shut the fuck up. But I do still feel very optimistic. I think we're heading in a positive direction down the road. We got to get through a few months and things are going to be much, 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 much better. So
hopefully,
I'm not gonna ruin your lives right now by talking about all the darkness out there.
But just know, it's a good time to be angry.
Yes.
Use that anger for good.
Yes,
you are not alone. We are right here. I'm like,
it's a good time to donate to legal funds and the Lincoln Project and the ACLU and obviously Black Lives Matter and all those people.
Call your school district and suggest that they keep kids in virtual classes when they can.
Yes.
And
at the very least, give them that option. Yeah, anyway.
Right. Let's do our shout outs.
Yeah! Back to things that really matter.
All right. I've got them written down here. Do you want to go back and forth or you just want me to do it?
Lay it on me.
All right. So thank you so much.
These are our Patreon supporters, by the way.
Oh, sorry.
Yep.
Did I not say that? Yep. Nope. We've had a big influx because we did still unfortunately move Saturday episodes over to Patreon. If you would like to sign up, go over there, find us, give us $3 a month at minimum.
Yeah. It's easy.
You can hear us.
You just do it straight through the internet. You don't have to physically hand us $3 every month. The internet carries.
We don't want your dirty physical money.
Carries it gently through the fiber optics. I don't know how the internet works.
God, yeah.
People are like smashing,
God,
nerds are like
up.
smashing their heads against the table.
Oh, just, yep. Anyway, number 1 original fan, Kate L.
Yeah!
Yay!
Pump,
Thank
pump,
you,
pump.
Kate.
Kate's also going to be the one who prepares
Does
our
our elote.
Echolite elote. Oh my God. Speaking of which, I made elote last night with Indiana sweet corn. Cry tears of happiness.
Oh, dude.
Holy
I've got
shit.
I got some of the Zupanzix corn today. It's like the best corn in the world.
In the world.
I would fight you if you... And I've got it ready to go to cook tonight right now.
Also, the fact that we don't only just make elote instead of corn on the cob with butter. Like, I don't know why I was intimidated by it. Jesus God. It is
There's nothing better.
So good.
God, I'm going to do it right now. Okay, gotta hurry. I'm hungry.
Okay.
Renee W.
Yay, Renee.
Thank you, Renee. This one's a good one. Our Auntie Marilyn.
Yay, Auntie
She
Marilyn.
became one of our patrons. We love you.
We love you. She rules the world.
She really does. Caleb J.
Yay, Caleb.
We think that Caleb, he's our first known
Canadian follow
know that
listener.
there's others.
Yes.
Are you from Canada? Do you listen to us?
Yep.
Tell us about it.
Yeah.
We want to hear.
Absolutely.
About you.
But Caleb, we're gonna make you the official head of our Canadian convent.
Con. So now we're in the church.
Yep. So
the convent.
If you're from Canada, you're not a coven. You're in the convent. Canadian convent. Sorry, Caleb. I could have been a cool witch, but you got to be a nun instead. Not that nuns aren't cool. Nuns kind of rule, except for the Franciscan. Anyway, continue.
Thank you to Emmeline W.
Not a cute name.
I know. I hope I'm saying it right.
If it's not pronounced Emmeline, you should change it because it's adorable.
Cute.
Yeah,
that's true. Thank you to our sweet soul sister, Cassie.
Yay, Cassie.
We love you, Cassie. You're so sweet. You did not have to give us money.
No, absolutely not. She's in our, I mention our friend group, our best friend group constantly, and she's in it, and we could just email it to you, but that's really, really sweet of you to support us.
Yeah, it's so sweet. Thank you to Michelle L.
Yay!
And one more for this round, Tamiko O.
Tamiko, we love you.
We love you. Thank you so much, you guys.
Yep.
You're the best.
You're the best.
You are the funniest.
Yep.
You are the prettiest.
Yes.
And the nicest. And the smartest.
And those are all actually legitimate things. I've said this before, but my God, you guys are such a bunch of babes. Not that looks are everything, but...
Yep. Well, the babes in the way you think and the
your
way
kindness.
you look. And, yeah.
Yep. Very kind people.
Yeah.
I feel very lucky.
I do too. If you want to hear us talk randomly about your name, then sign up on Patreon.
We're really good at selling these things. That was a real hell of a good pitch.
I mean, I am very good at this.
Yes, you are.
Lord help me.
Coding.
I mean, I don't know what to do without me.
Am I allowed to tell the story about when you were high and we passed a McDonald's?
Yes. Yes.
For real?
Yeah.
So Sadie has smoked pot in her life, guys. I actually smoked pot that night too. I cannot smoke pot because I go to a very, very bad place, and that night I did. We got really high and we went to watch Sharknado.
Yeah, we were at like 25 or something.
I think we might have been a little older, giving us a little bit too much credit. You were probably 25. I think I was like 20. No, I was definitely in my 30s. Anyway, I smoked way too much pot. I went to watch Sharknado. I was standing in the concession line, and I just remember thinking, uh-oh. I got to get in a seat as fast as humanly possible. We sat down. We're in a huge group. There was a huge group of us, and I didn't know half of the people that were there. Uh-huh. And I remember them being like, guys, we got to move over here. And I whispered to Sadie, I can't move. No, I can't move. I couldn't feel my body. I couldn't. It was really bad. And I remember there was a preview for the movie, the Nicolas Cage movie where his head is on fire. It's a Marvel comic or like a comic. God damn it. Skullhead, Firehead.
Yeah, that guy. Fuck.
You know what I'm talking about. Rides a motorcycle with a skull Firehead.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you're like emergency medically, like you're almost to a medical emergency, you're so high and that preview comes on, it's very intense experience. Anyway.
Is that Hellboy?
No.
Hellboy.
No, Nicolas Cage. His head is on fire and it's a skull. Hellboy's red. Anyway. What is it called? Anyway, okay. So we get through Sharknado, which also taught me that if you get medically emergency style high, that it only takes about 20 minutes to get back to the earth, and then everything is a blast. So I still don't smoke pot because it's not worth it, but it was a really fun experience. Get through the movie. We're all still high because we got too high. And Sadie's sweet husband, he picked us up, right? I don't think he was at the movie. He came to pick our high as hell asses up.
I think he was there.
Okay.
But anyway,
he was not.
He was high.
No, I don't think so either. So he was our designated driver, driving us home. Sadie. See, we pass a McDonald's, and Sadie screams, "Cocaine!" And then we just all like slobber laugh for 25 minutes while we try to understand why she just randomly screamed the word cocaine as we were driving down the road. And she had meant to say ice cream cone. Because we love McDonald's ice cream cones. So her high mind really, really wanted one, but short-circuited like a high mind does. And so instead she just screamed cocaine.
There you go,
out
guys.
of nowhere. Don't do drugs. Abby, who's listening?
Yeah, Abby,
you're
listen,
young.
No,
don't do drugs.
Don't do it. Yep.
Unless it's medically prescribed to you by a professional. Yeah. But, oh my God.
Yeah. See, and I'm completely sober every single time I do this podcast, and I still can't come up with words. The movie is Ghost Rider.
Thank you. Skull Firehead motorcycle.
That's what I Googled. Nicolas Cage.
Skull Firehead.
Skull Firehead motorcycle. That's exactly what I...
We screen cap it so we can put it up on Instagram.
Yes. Yes,
stories.
All right, you guys. Let's let these dear, sweet angels go home.
Yep.
They're already home. I love you so much.
And remember...
Cocaine!
We love you guys. Goodbye.
Goodbye.